Hey, everybody, welcome live to the Jim Masters Show, live entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. I am your host, Jim Masters. Doesn't that make sense? It says it back there, so I guess I am. It says it on the screen down there, too, so I guess I am. Let me check the mirror. Great to have you with us. We're going to have a good time. We've got an amazing guest. We always have a great time here on JMS. This is our entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series, bringing back the lost art of conversation with amazing guests coming in from Broadway and Hollywood and television and film and stage, music, comedy, sports, food, from around the world, you name it. It happens here on JMS. We are live. We're here in the New York area in the United States. I'm reporting for duty here in the host chair. And we've got an extraordinary actor, musician, music director, producer joining us, JT, John Anthony Torres, coming to us from New York City, from Manhattan. And he's very excited to be here because he is going to be telling us about this really cool new film, which is actually going to be making a debut in the city in Lincoln Center, at Lincoln Center. Isn't that amazing? That's coming up in just a matter of days. So a lot of excitement happening around this phenomenal new, touching and moving film. We're going to talk about it. We've got a trailer as well. And our very, very special guest, again, is somebody who is very passionate. You know, all our guests are very passionate about what they do. I'm passionate about what I do as well in the industry. And we sort of combine all that passion together to entertain all of you and get a chance to meet some of our amazing guests, maybe for the very, very first time. I do want to tell you about JT. It's really, really cool, the background that he has. It's actually quite extensive, and it's really amazing, too. He was born in New York City, Manhattan, and his love and interest in performing really developed from classes he began taking while studying the flute at the Juilliard School, the program for gifted children. Wasting little time, John started performing professionally at the age of 13, playing at the once called Avery Fisher Hall at Lincoln Center. So it's kind of full circle. It's beautiful that, you know, the film is going to be debuting or showing there at Lincoln Center. It's just really something special. And I've done a lot of work at WNAT 13 at the Tisch Lincoln Center studios. So I love that area, Broadway and West 66th Street in New York City. Also, the Pied Piper Fantasy as well. He's been a part of that. He worked alongside the New York Philharmonic and Sir James Galway and played the flute in the commercial for VH1's Save the Music campaign. Now, you guys know that I am a personal friend of Sir James and Lady Jean Galway. They are dear friends of mine. We performed together at Carnegie Hall with Tim Janis, my dear friend. I've interviewed him multiple times on PBS with all of his concert specials. And Sir James Galway was, I believe, was his 80th. It was a celebration. It was during a Christmas concert with Sir James Galway and a host of incredible, well-known celebrity talent, singers, performers, and so much more. And if you didn't see the episode of the Jim Masters Show, it was around Christmas time about a year or so ago, where Sir James Galway and Lady Jean Galway were with us live as special guests on the Jim Masters Show. Nicest people. Sir James Galway is an incredible legend in the music industry, one of the greatest flautists of all time. And of course, they have the Galway Academy. And they were live from their beautiful home, not in New York or in Ireland, but in Switzerland, where they have a gorgeous home. So it really is a small world, folks. And JT, of course, loves Sir James Galway, as do I, and began attending the Rudolf Steiner School, where he was introduced to the world of theater and musical theater as well. He started, of course, in high school plays and all kinds of things like that. Some of the work that he's done work alongside Richard Pryor Jr., who's a dear friend of ours. And Adam Sandler as well, and so many others. And I'm going to tell you about some of the incredible films and things of that nature. He's also done commercial print modeling, hand model for the Miller High Life beer campaign in 2017. The face of, look at that face. How could he not be, right? The face of the Portrait Best Buy campaign for Best Buy. He did that as well. And so much more. Just a few of the incredible things. Working first off Broadway production of I Carry Your Heart. which is something very, very special. And the list goes on and on and on. I'm going to talk about it with him. We want to detail some of that when he's actually on with us, but I want to put on the screen a few things that may spark your memory. Well, this is what's new. This is very exciting. This is the film that we're talking about, that he's producing and directing and fully involved in. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But he's also had work in these incredible films: Adam Sandler, Uncut Gems. You may remember this as well. And also on Gotham. He's been on Gotham. And also, Or So the Story Goes. And also Vampires versus the Bronx on Netflix as well. He's a prolific talent, super talent, nice guy. He's excited to be here. See that picture? He's saying, Jim, you talking about me? Yes, we are, JT. And let's bring him. If you want to comment, I was going to say, if you want to comment during the show live, we're going to bring him on in just a second. You can comment in the Lovely Hall chat room, which is open and available right now. It's a chat room we have. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV right now. It's a free bonus to all of our subscribers. You can chat, say hello to one another, say hello to us, and maybe we might even sprinkle a comment or two on the screen live. We don't know. Maybe we will. But coming to us from NYC, our new friend of the Jim Masters Show Live series, JT is joining us. JT, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And you are one busy beaver. You've been doing this since the early teens, huh?
Oh, man. Yeah, I've been performing actually, I think, since about 7 or 8 years old. But professionally, 12 years old because of Juilliard. Thank you so much, Juilliard.
Oh, Juilliard, I tell you, absolutely. This connection, which I think is so amazing, to Sir James Galway, isn't he one of the nicest, most talented people? And Lady Jean Galway, his lovely wife, who's also a brilliant flautist as well. Aren't they just wonderful people?
Oh, yeah. James Galway was such a sweetheart. I remember all of us, Juilliard, I was 12 years old, and I remember being so anxious about to step onto the New York Philharmonic, and none of us had met James Galway. We just had rehearsals with other people instead of him. But finally, for the New York Philharmonic, he was there. Doesn't need any rehearsal or anything, but comes in and wants to say hi to all of us, and it was just so endearing. He was so sweet. He gave us all autographs. We all took pictures with him. He chilled in our dressing room for 2 of the 3 shows that we did. And just an overall great person. I didn't get to meet Lady Jean, though, unfortunately.
I'm sure at some point you will. She really is terrific. You've done work, and a couple of my friends in the city do this as well. Matter of fact, one was a co-host with me on PBS who was a hand model too. And the hands used in so many different commercials. So
Right.
Your hands have been seen here.
These hands.
It's amazing. How did that come your way? I mean, you use your hands in so many things as a musician and, of course, expressing as an actor. How did it come in where hand modeling came your way?
Right. Well, it was just, honestly, I guess this was mainly more when I was tackling more commercial print gigs, and it was just a commercial print gig that was available. I submitted my materials to it, just a bunch of photos and a resume, and they picked me to be the hand model. And it was interesting. I didn't have any reps at the time, and I was with hand modeling with Ford IMG models, and I was like, oh, okay, here I am. Let's take some pictures.
It's amazing. They used to say that Mary Hart, who was one of the original co-host of Entertainment Tonight, that when they would have the glass anchor desk, and I forget the original Ron, I forget his last name. There was an initial co-host before John Tesh and everybody else after, but they had this crystal clear laminate desk, and you would see her legs, her very long, thin legs, and that her legs were insured for $1 million by Lloyd's of London. I would imagine with your hands, when you were doing that kind of work, you had to make sure that those hands were well kept.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I didn't know much about hand modeling before going, and booking my first hand modeling gig. But it's interesting because the hand models there were they're called parts models. And so they were legit parts models, and they were just like so protective of everything coming near their hands. And I thought it was, a little much, but I'm like, whoa, I'm learning a lot. But yeah, it was very interesting. I know there was a one point, the one of the producers, or the producers was just like, oh, does anyone have like nail clippers? I just need a little something something. Can we get something over? And I'm like, oh man, they're talking about me. They're talking about me. And I didn't remember to get like a manicure or anything. I just, trial and tribulation, you live and learn kind of thing. I didn't have any hand modeling mentors bestowed upon me, but I was on set, and I knew it was about me. And the client comes over, Miller High Life beer, and they're like, hey, do you have any like nail clippers or anything? And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. And then this fellow hand model, so sweet. He was just like, I have an extra kit. You can use this. So I took the kit, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. And I don't know, there was like one small thing that they wanted off on camera, and I got rid of it, and we went into it and started shooting and filming, etc.
You're easy to give gifts to, stocking stuffer.
Yeah.
Give them the nail kit, right?
Right.
That was perfect. In addition to, of course, we're talking about the hand modeling, but you are a brilliant musician as well. And tell us when music came into your life. What was it about music? Did you grow up in a house that was surrounded by music? What sort of influenced your musical prowess early on as well, JT?
Of course. So I guess with the music specifically, that's actually thanks to VH1. VH1 Save the Music program specifically. It back years back, there was this program, VH1 Save the Music, and it was a whole campaign on selecting underprivileged public schools in New York City and providing home music programs for them. So that's where I was introduced to music. That was in the fifth grade. I picked up the flute. I remember Bill Clinton and a bunch of VH1 executives and a bunch of cool people came to present this award of musicianship to the school. And that was really awesome, because clearly that changed my whole life. If it weren't for the flute, I wouldn't be where I am today. And it's a completely different industry. However, I still wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for the flute. And that's because of the VH1 Save the Music program that selected my elementary school, PS 96 at the time. And we were all given, orchestra instruments and not just a recorder, but everyone got to choose between a trombone, a flute, clarinet. I wanted the easy way out, and I've played recorder in fourth grade before. So I was like, oh, let me just get the flute,
Right.
And I took the flute, and going for an easy A, I didn't realize how much it would actually turn out to mean to me.
The A, it would pay off, right? Exactly, because you took an interest to it. And
I didn't know it was going to happen, but it happened that way.
yeah, I remember we had them, they were white, and we had them. I grew up out east on Long Island, so we're practically neighbors. And they called it was like sixth grade. I remember Mrs. Sebastian's class, music class, and we would do the high school, well, not high school, we would do the elementary school plays at that time. And that's what she said, Jim, you're an alto. You are definitely an alto, not a soprano. You're an alto. So that's when I learned I was an alto, sixth grade. But the instrument was they used to call it a flutophone. It was kind of like the recorder, and it was called a flutophone. But then when I was around 11 or 12, the very first, now what an instrument to take early on. Violin.
Oh, wow.
Took that one early.
That's hard.
You start out.
Yeah.
You got to master that. So the flute really is something. Do you still play? Is it a flute something that's still near and dear to your heart? You got it there?
The flute is actually.
Oh, folks, here comes the flute. You never know what'll happen. Look at that. You may get a treat here.
Right here. So it's always nearby.
Let's take a look at it. Can you open it and show us the flute? Show us what it looks like? Yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually a Jupiter flute, and this is the second flute that my mom gifted me. The first flute actually left in the subway, in New York City. So that was
Oh,
my mistake.
wow.
But
Wow.
not only
Somebody did well on eBay with that one, huh? Oh,
that's right. And not only
yeah.
that, I would also have like, some other instruments around, always handy. I have about three
Very
guitars
nice.
here actually.
Do you?
Yeah, and I have a
That's
little
cool.
piano in my living room, which is actually the piano that was recorded on in my short film Papi, which I play the piano live in, and it's used in film.
That is so amazing. So you're basically a multi-instrumentalist then. You can play quite a few different instruments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Juilliard had a huge impact on such an impressionable mind, and all of us kids were kind of like, encouraged to pick up more than our specialty instruments. So that's when I picked up the piano back then in Juilliard, and just started off by having a white keyboard. It was a Yamaha, and I just took Sharpies and I just put all the notes down, and just kind of like did it that way. And eventually the notes faded off with how much I was playing, and I ended up learning the notes that way. And
You have
reading
such an
music, reading music,
reading
that kind
music,
of translated over from flute already, so that basis was there.
and you have such a deep and wonderful and rich Latino culture within your family. Did any of that also enhance the musicality? And also, did you start to gravitate to some of those extraordinary sounds within Latin music as well?
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because now that you ask that, my mind immediately goes back to my father. Growing up, um, my father was always playing the guitar, which is why I actually have a guitar. And it's interesting because I do have three guitars. I don't know how to play them, and I'm meaning to teach myself how to play them. But they were gifts from my father, or one was a gift from my father, and um, I've always been meaning to tackle that next. But growing up, he would play almost like borderline flamenco guitar. It was very beautiful, very fast, very very rhythmic, very intentional, and that definitely stood with me. I didn't pick up the guitar when it was my turn to pick up an instrument, but that definitely influenced some musicality for sure.
I would say absolutely. And having that early influence, and I'm sure you'll master those guitars
And it's
in
it's,
no time.
it's very funny because I'm also remembering now when I first bought this one, which was not too long ago, because I have a few. I go over, and my father is no longer with us, but I go over to my mom, and we always learn new things about our parents all the time. But this was about a couple of months ago. I go over to my mom and I'm just like, hey, I'm going to start fooling around with this. And I show her it. And she's like, yeah, well, that's not how you hold it, John. I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
She's like, you hold it like this. And she's this tiny, like 4'7" Ecuadorian woman. She takes this whole guitar and she gives me like a perfect chord and just strums. And I'm like, whoa, where'd you learn that from? And then I'm like, oh, right, dad, must have
And
definitely like
and
taught you
yeah,
something.
and are you right-handed or left?
Right-handed.
You're lucky because I'm left and I have a guitar, and it's a difficult one to. It's very hard to find left-handed guitars, and they're very hard to find, and just everything is always, it's a right-handed world. And it's funny because I was taking lessons a while back, and the teacher uh, was left-handed to do it as a righty. So he teaches righty on a left-handed guitar. It's bizarre, and he was able to flip it if it's the person is left-handed he's trying to teach. But everything is really positioned for the right-handed world. The
Right.
left-handed people, we trudge through.
I feel for you. I'm
we
sorry.
make our we make our way. When I was a kid on Long Island, there were these consultants that they brought into the school system. They couldn't do this now, but they brought these consultants in, and I must have been in fifth grade. I think it was Mr. Cohen's class. And I remember these consultants, these tall adults, sort of leaning over us, all the kids that were left-handed. And they would actually take the pencil or the pen out of our hands as we were writing and say, no, 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 put it in your right hand and try to write as a righty, because the world is built for right-handed people generally, and it'll make your life easier. I don't think there was a single kid in that elementary school that switch to righty. Everybody
Oh,
stayed what they
man.
were naturally meant to be.
Right, right, right. And you're meant to be a left-handed gym masters.
That's what it is. Everything with the left. You and as I mentioned, you have this really wonderful background, JT. It's something that again has been a passion of yours. You even competed in the New York City annual Shakespeare competition, huh? That must have been exciting.
Yeah, that was really exciting. The New York City Annual Shakespeare Competition, I won the Lisa Noble Award for that. And that just means it was a fancy award name title. It was a monetary award, but also it was, yeah, it was great. It allowed me to perform in a huge showcase, so to speak. It was all of New York City's kids. I remember I landed third place. That was the Lisa Noble Award. And I represented like most of Manhattan. I think the person who did win was from another borough, but yeah, I landed third place. And my coach for that, her name was Jessica Litwack, and she's a great, great, great coach. I ran into her last year, and she's doing well. And but yeah, that was really fun, and I was very honored to also represent my school, the Rudolph Steiner School, which is on the Upper East Side on
Mm.
78th between Fifth and Madison. And they were also really pumped to have me represent them as well.
And then you went off to Marymount Manhattan College, and that's when you're really focused on performance, with your concentration then being in acting, right? What was it about
Correct.
acting that spoke to your heart, JT?
Yeah, so it's interesting because I knew that acting was my calling because of, I guess, of my upbringing and how much emotion there was always in me. And I found that the best way to release this emotion was through acting. It was really because when you're acting and there's dramatic pieces, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, so to speak, and you're really just living in these very truthful moments. So I really fell into this and I really got swept away, and I would almost like black out on stage. This started happening in high school, actually, and it wasn't intentional. At the Rudolph Steiner School, I started doing acting, well, musicals specifically, because all the cool kids were doing it. So, like, I went to school with Zoe Kravitz. I went to school with some other cool kids, Offsprings. Actually, one of the production consultants for Papi is Jane Stiles, and she is Julia Stiles' sister. So she also went to high school with us, and we all did the plays together because the cool kids were kind of doing it, right? And I
Yeah.
just wanted to have friends. That was my motive, just to make friends. And that was the first musical. So it was Grease. Then the next semester, they're like, "Oh yeah, so we're all doing this." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna audition for that." So I did that, and then next thing you know, second, third year, by junior year, I was in all the showcases. And not only that, I ventured off from musical to the straight plays. So now I started auditioning for the just straight, no music plays, and that's where I found I just really lost myself. That carried on into college because there we had such intense BFA training. Like, I remember one of my classes for a whole year. It was taught by this professor at Marymount Manhattan College called Mrs. Strauss. I believe her name is Hala Strauss, but Mrs. Strauss for sure. Last name Strauss. And she was teaching movement for actors, such a specific class. But her class for the whole year, my first year, was to study one monologue of our choosing, and ripping that apart every day for an hour and a half every day for a whole year. And that's how intense these classes were. And with that one monologue, we had to like flesh out other improvs, other monologues, like what the music these people were listening to, and all these like hidden moments and stuff. Such a great class. But there in those classes at Marymount, I also just, it was a reinvigoration of what I wanted to do, and a reaffirmation of what I kind of wanted to do with my life.
That is beautiful. That is fantastic when those things happen and you sort of then can find clarity and focus and then really pursue what it is you want to do as you're sprinkling in other aspects of the arts into your work. You also, once you graduated, you worked as an executive assistant to producer and fine arts philanthropist Andrew Martin Weber as well. What
Yes.
was that like?
Oh, that was really fun. Yeah, Andrew Martin Weber is one of New York City's, and he's a global fine arts philanthropist. At the time that I was working for him directly as his executive assistant, he was in charge of the Metropolitan Opera. His name was on St. Anne's Warehouse in New York City. His name was on the American Ballet Theater. His name was on the Martino Arroyo Foundation, which is an opera foundation. Also, the Sydney Opera House. And it was so enriching because right after college, I decided to take a break from acting, so to speak, just because I guess in my last year of college, I wasn't really cast in anything or the showcases. So I was a little discouraged. It's okay. I just decided to take a little break. I started working for Mr. Andrew Martin Weber. And because he is the philanthropist and main donor, main funder to a lot of these institutions, famous institutions, a lot of my meetings and a lot of my work had to deal directly with these production companies and these meetings. And I was making a great salary coming out of college. I think it was like 75 or 80K or something like that right out of college. And I was getting all of this crazy knowledge and this great experience. However, I was constantly reminded, because I'm in the arts as well, I was constantly reminded that this money and this production side, like it's great, if I continue on with Mr. Andrew Martin Weber, I'm gonna be him, and I, I'm the talent. I'm the talent. That's what I am. And so I left Mr. Andrew Martin Weber and immediately started auditioning.
And that paid off big time because you had an opportunity to then really hit the ground running and
Literally.
get into the wonderful world of television and film, which I think is fantastic because you had completed work on The Perfect Murder as the innocent looking killer Diego Pilco, and then began to work on set with well-known directors like Spike Lee on She's Gotta Have It Too, and several others. These opportunities start coming your way in film and television. How did you like that?
Oh, that was very beautiful and a huge learning experience as well. Um, I didn't know anything about this industry coming in or before coming in. So it's funny because you go to these acting schools and you go to these great conservatories and they teach you how to like rip a monologue apart, but that's not the only thing we need. We need to know the business of this. We need to know the ins and outs of this industry. And not many people or artists realize that, but you gotta get in and really understand what's going on. So I took that and I started hitting the ground running with Spike Lee specifically. That was one of my projects. I was Anthony Ramos's stand-in and photo double for that whole season of She's Gotta Have It Too. And so that was beautiful because I learned everything firsthand. So what wardrobe was doing, I learned what Spike Lee, who was also the executive producer, director, like his name was all over the piece as well. So was his wife and his family, and seeing what they're doing, why they are calling all the shots. All right, because they're the producers, and just learning things like that, learning who is booking these roles, why they're booking these roles, who are their representation, and all of this information I was slowly able to grasp and understand within the season of She's Gotta Have It Too. And I believe that was about 3 to 4 months of shooting, Monday through Friday. Like I would have to get up at 3:30 in the morning to make it all the way to Brooklyn by I think 5:30 in the morning. So it was like a 2 hour commute, and we would be there for 12 hours minimum to 16 hours, Monday through Friday for 3 to 4 months straight.
That's what it's like. Some people would find that grueling, but it's really exciting when you're passionate about it and you're into the work. And that led to so many other things, which I think is
Yeah.
amazing. You completed stand-in work on shows such as Orange is the New Black. You were on Gotham, Tales of the City, Sweet Bitter, Power. Then you completed work for the short film Meditation, and that was fantastic. And you were Troubled Antonio alongside Richard Pryor Jr., who's a dear
Yeah.
friend of us, and his sister Rain Pryor. They're dear friends as well.
Yeah, Richard Pryor Jr. was such a great person to work with. He's amazing. We're still in contact as well. We follow each other on socials. But yeah, that short film was really, really great. And again, one of those kind of like moments where you bring everything in, because we filmed that short film where I'm one of the leads. And after it was starting to make its kind of like social media debut back then, I guess only a couple of years ago, but the director is looking through my social media and sees that I play the flute. And so his character is constantly playing like the flute. My mind was in actor mode. I didn't have any idea. I didn't think about, like, going up to the producer and director to be like, hey, I play an instrument. My mind wasn't there. However, he found this out by my social media, reaches back out to me after everything is done. It's just like, hey, do you think you can compose something for us? I'm like, yeah, sure. What do you need? And he's like, well, let's see what you got, and then we'll figure out where to place it, because my character plays the flute. I'm like, oh, right, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I go over, we record some stuff, and it was actually a flute duet piece that I made in the Juilliard class back in when I was like 12. I just repurposed it, so to speak, and I did so similarly with the piano piece that I used in Papi. Again, but just like elongating it, repurposing it, readapting it for what it turned out to be. Going back to the flute specifically for meditation, we recorded a few things. I played this piece called Amber Wind, which is my piece that I composed, and they ended using it as the credits of the film. So the
Wow.
flute piece is also the ending, the ending music of the movie.
That's fantastic. How cool is that, huh?
Yeah, again, I wasn't thinking about my musicianship at the time, but it was beautiful that it crept its way back in my life,
It found its way
and
back in, right?
even today, like it's slowly trying to grab me by the lungs again. Before coming onto this interview, I had a conversation with an up and coming New York City music producer. His name is Gonzo. He runs Gonzo Productions, and we're going to start dabbling with music. I used to be, a singer with
I've heard of
voices,
Gonzo. Wow, that's great, huh?
and back in high school, I also auditioned for Latino Grammy Award winning artist Don Omar and a few other Latino TV personalities. We did this. I was on this show called MTV Tres back when MTV Tres was a thing, and it was the show called The Road to Menudo. So
Remember Menudo?
we were
Yes.
auditioning for the
Ricky
new Menudo
Martin?
band. Yes, we were auditioning for the new Menudo band, and so we did that whole thing. My sister, my mom really pushed me to do it. I sang a Spanish song by Sin Banderas, and I sang a sugar pie honey bun, that song as well. And I remember the crowd just erupting, Don Omar just being so cool, laid back, and giving his feedback. And it was just all so like happened so fast. I do remember when I left, the Ricky Martin's original manager comes up to my family and gives them his business card. And back then, like, I don't know, it was only up until like I think only a few years ago that social media is really, really prevalent. But I guess, yeah, when it was it like 8 or 9 years ago, whenever that happened, like he gave me his business card, and that was that. And I gave it, or they gave my parents' business card, and I took that business card and kind of like put it in my wallet, and I ended up losing that. And that was the only way to contact this person. My mom didn't remember his name. I didn't remember his name.
That wasn't also on the subway, was it?
No, it was not.
With the
So I
flute?
actually don't know how it happened, but I definitely lost that business card. But anyways, again, it's always trying to come back into my life, and this is a new venture that letting you all guys know. We're gonna start dabbling with some recording music.
That is cool. That is fantastic. And keep us posted on that. And of course, we'll have you back when you're doing that so we can hear some of that as well.
Yeah.
Some of the other spectacular things you've been a part of, some photo doubling work, Adam Sandler's Uncut Gems. What was it like being a part of that?
Well, that was pretty dope because oh man, please don't get upset with me, but there was this famous basketball player, and I'm just blanking on his name, that was on the movie. But yeah, this basketball player, he in his contract was to have like a basketball court like on set. So that was pretty cool, because that was the first time I've seen anything like that. So every time I would go into I think it was only 2 to 3 days of work, But whenever I'd go on set to do this photo doubling gig, and I was photo doubling for Adam Sandler's son in the film. And for anyone who doesn't know what a photo double is exactly, is an actor who has kind of the same dimension, same skin complexion as the actor at hand, who's being filmed. However, they have to leave for whatever reason, or I think the person was a minor at the time. So minors are not allowed to work more than 8 hours on set. So they had to leave and find someone who fits this kind of like profile. And so I would go in with the original cast, and we did specifically the car scene where he's driving up into his house with the family, and I'm in the back seat as his son, and we did that a few times over. Yeah, that's what a photo double is. So it's like my actual body and everything being filmed, but from afar, from like maybe just like a finger. It could be a bunch of different things. I also did some photo doubling for John Leguizamo, so it all just like in terms
I
of
could see.
age as well, it just like it's all over the place.
I could see that too. I could see it, some of that resemblance in there as well. I've always had too an actor who's still, doing his thing today, especially when he was on Twin Peaks, Sex and the City, and Desperate Housewives. Actor Kyle MacLachlan. It must be the Irish English thing that he has and that I have. And a lot of people say, especially from the profile, that we look very similar. And I've seen photos of the two of us that people have done back-to-back comparisons. I'm like, my God, we could be cousins or, some sort of a relation. Just it's uncanny when that happens, right?
Right. Yeah.
I haven't photo doubled for him quite yet, but
Your time might be coming.
But that might happen, actually. Gotham. I mean, to be a part of Gotham, what was that like?
Oh, that was very fun. Again, I did, I think, two or three
Yeah.
separate things in Gotham. Again, photo double and stand-in work. Again, doing this specifically because I wanted to learn the ins and outs of what was happening. But yeah, that was really cool because it was such a huge production, and such a very cool production because of all the costumes specifically. We're in Gotham.
Yeah.
I remember specifically doing a scene with the person who plays the Joker in one of the seasons, and he's a great actor, and I was very mesmerized by watching what he was doing on set because it's all work.
It is.
Some people who don't understand, they're like, "Oh, it's acting." It's like, no, it's
Glamour and easy. No.
really intense work, and this actor is just repeatedly going through this very emotional scene as the Joker, and just like repeatedly like stumbling and falling in the same spot. And I've watched him do this, I don't know, maybe like for like 15 takes, and that's a long time. At that point, you're like probably getting a bruise somewhere or something, and it's just override on your emotions. So having the fortitude to keep going in those specific scenes too is very commendable. So that was really mesmerizing to watch him.
What's really cool, what I like what you're saying is, and I've always done this, and that's why I like to plug in with my guests, even in my professional work in television and radio. I like to find ways that I connect with them, similarities in how they approach things, and maybe little nuggets. Maybe it's childhood upbringing, or they like vanilla ice cream, whatever. Find the things that are the humanity, not just a typical interview conversation, but the things that really plug in, that are relatable, between us and in this case, the viewers watching too. They can find elements of relatability as they're watching. And one of the things that I really like, everything that you're saying, you have been a sponge. You have been soaking it all up. And while you've been in studios and on stages and rehearsal rooms and all of these, in school, everything, as I have as well, I've been watching and observing. Even if my task isn't to do what that person's doing or what she's doing over there, I've been watching always since a kid what everybody else does, so you can learn and appreciate, respect, and honor all the puzzle pieces, because everybody plays an important role, no matter what it is they're doing, to the entire product and production. And you never know when there's going to be a time, and it's happened to me multiple times, I'm sure it's happened to you as well, where somebody falls ill, somebody doesn't show up, something happens, they disappear, whatever, and they call on you hey, I know you know some of how to run that camera or whatever it is.
Right.
Can you help do that? We're in a real bind. Go out there and make magic. And by watching and being a sponge and observing and really appreciating all of it, not just what you have to do, because that takes clarity and focus,
Right.
but also appreciating the entire village it takes. That's how you learn. And I think it makes the experience richer. And again, when you're called upon to do other things that maybe wasn't something you were set out to do, they love that, and it's a great help to the entire village that it takes, right?
Right, right. And it's interesting that you touch on the, kind of wearing multiple hats, so to speak. With this current short film, that's actually kind of what happened in a way. We had someone lined up to do music and scoring and some, as with anyone's first project, there's a lot of favors involved. It takes a village to make something like a movie, like a lot of money, a lot of favors, a lot of time, a lot of talent. Having said that, we had someone on board for music, and things kind of fell through for different reasons, which is okay. Again, in the industry, things happen, like you just said, and someone doesn't, I guess, pull up to the plate, and you kind of have to like step in. And that's when I was like, wait, hold up. I graduated Juilliard. I can do this. So I reached out to the director, Ashley L. Canfield, amazing woman. And I'm like, hey, I know music. Like I wrote a piano piece for this film. I can probably do a pre-score until we find a scorer or a musical person. So musician and a scorer, official scorer. So I did a pre-score for our film, and I had all of mine just sat down with specifically with the music mind and let things kind of fly out and see what would come. And I would bounce these ideas off of the director, and she was very much like, yes, I love that. Yeah, yes, okay, let's do that. And then I found other people to jump on board, right? So at this point, I'm already the pre-scorer. I'm a composer of the piano piece that was used. And also because of the pre-scoring and the musical direction, I have my first credit as a musical director. And this was all because the original person who was supposed to be doing music couldn't show up, which is okay because it allowed me to really let my other talents shine. And right after this, I was able to find two more people to help with music. One is recording artist and up and coming huge DJ in New York City. Her name is Sony with an I. And the other is actually my family, another music producer based out of Miami. His name is Kid Nemesis, and he represents and manages a bunch of recording artists as well. Between the both of them and my musical direction, my pre-scoring, we were able to give you Papi, which was amazing.
And it all goes back to the fact that you decided to stick with the flute.
Yeah, yeah,
If you trace it back, it goes back to that lovely flute, which is amazing. Something else, we're going to get into Papi in just a second, but this is kind of cool too. You were in this as well.
yeah. Vampires versus the Bronx.
Yeah, that was on Netflix too. So the exposure, some of these productions you've been in, the exposure is tremendous, and working with these known people and producers and other talent, it's quite exciting, isn't it?
Right. No, it's very exciting. For this specific project, I also did some photo doubling, and that was really cool because it was one of the most intense scenes of the movie where it's basically I'm the one killing the vampire. So I guess again the miner had to leave, and I show up and I come up. I think it was like I was on set by 12:30 in the morning, 1 in the morning. That's when I began. I think we left at like 6:30 in the morning, something like that. But I show up and my call time is what it is. I'm on set by like 1 in the morning, 12:30, 1 in the morning. And all I'm required to do is, watch what this actor did in like a previous take. This actor already went home. I go in with the same like wardrobe and everything, and they're filming everything through from behind my ears and using my hands. So I'm throwing like a Holy Eucharist into the vampire's mouth, which is the shot that is used in the actual film.
How cool is that, huh?
That was really fun. Again, some of the times, if you like, some of the jobs that you get are kind of like, random and quirky, but this was pretty cool. Again, you know, in the scene, there are vampires hanging also from the ceiling, and I watched all of this happen in special effects. It was really, really crazy. Pulley systems, and it again, it was. This reminds me actually of I did photo doubling for Manifest once.
Mm,
That was one of the coolest projects because the studios out here in New York created a whole blizzard on top of a mountain, and
it's
they used
incredible.
all of that. And I remember coming on the set, and they're prepping me like, stuff, you might get like stuff in your mouth, but just let us know, like raise your hand or whatever if you can't. I'm like, yeah, sure, no, I've been on set, like we're good. And I didn't realize the caliber, but I go on the set and there's a whole blizzard, a makeshift blizzard going on this set, and it was massive, just a giant warehouse, and it looked like I was on the top of a mountain. I couldn't even believe it myself. And the
It's
way it
unreal.
looks on the episode as well is just very
Realistic.
so
Yeah.
realistic.
Yeah.
Movie
It's
magic is crazy.
the ones that come up with those things to be able to create it, to create these scenes and these images are very gifted, extraordinary people. I got a chance. A friend of mine works with the Dr. Phil show, and I was in Burbank for a television shoot that I was on, totally unrelated. But Dr. Phil at that time, now he started his own TV network, but he was with the Paramount Studios, where a lot of a major television show. I mean, the Brady Bunch. I mean, so many things come out of Paramount, movies and everything. And when we were walking across this massive parking lot with all of these cars, there was this parking lot where it's sort of like the cement sort of just dipped down. It wasn't a leveled parking garage. It was just, a flat surface, but it sort of dipped down. And there was this huge cement wall sort of bordering it. And he said, "Hey, Jim, do you know where you're standing?" And I said, "I'm standing at Paramount Studios here in Burbank, Hollywood. And I'm in a parking lot. This are probably all the employees and staff and producers. This is all." He said, "You're standing in an ocean right now." And I said, "What?" He said, "You're standing in an ocean that has been used for some of your favorite movies." He said, "What they do is they have all of the employees pull their cars out. They flood this whole dipped area with water, and then they superimpose on the cement wall that's already there the images of the ocean and the sea." So many epic films were filmed in what is used as a parking lot, also a full ocean when Paramount Studios needs it. Stuff like that is so cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. By any chance, do you know which movie or any of the movies so I can keep an eye out for that? And just have
He
my mind.
gave me a list. I thought maybe some of Titanic maybe might have been one of them, which of course there was epic, ocean footage there. Yeah, a ton. I'm gonna get the list. I'll send you the list. I was blown away when he was labeling off some of the iconic movies that were shot in what was this parking lot. But it's so incredible. And then we went around the corner and it was evening and we were walking through. Now, here we are in Burbank, but we were walking through New York City. We were walking through New York City in the 1930s. It was a whole city and set and buildings for a particular show, I believe, that they were getting ready to film.
Right.
And you saw the butcher shop and the deli and the whole, and the cars and then crew, as you see all that, the crew is like putting lighting up and they're building the sets, and it's just a regular, you're on a construction site. To them, they're doing what they do. But it's incredible to get a chance to see stuff like that. And I think anybody that gets a chance, you and I, we work in these industries, but people who don't, if they have tours or any of those kinds of things, they should really check them out, because you get a real sense for what it takes to make the magic, right?
So many people involved, as you know, I'm sure. And it really just takes for productions like that, just huge scale cities to complete. I was going to say it takes like a village to create, to raise a child. Going to take a city to create a film. There's a lot of components, a lot of people, a lot of everyone's creativity involved too. It's just one huge collaboration.
and their input and their ideas, and sometimes there's rewrites of scripts because they come up with a different way of doing it. And then of course, if you're shooting outside, we all know you're up against the clock and the sun's setting, and they got to get it all
Right,
in because the sun has to match. It can't be, the lighting can't be any different. And
right, right. That's
that,
actually happened with the short film Papi that that I mentioned briefly. But one of the last shots in the film is, the sun rising. However, we had to use movie magic to kind of replicate this because we just missed it by like a few seconds. But because of coloring and everything, we were able to kind of like reverse whatever was happening. But yeah, it's really interesting that you mentioned, because I think on almost every set, everyone's fighting the sun, fighting time, beating the clock.
it's what it is. It's quite amazing for our viewers who are watching around the world. We welcome everybody. John Anthony Torres,
What's
brilliant
up, you guys?
actor, musician, director, producer, coming to us live from New York City. I'm your host, Jim Masters. This is the Jim Masters Show live series. If you're enjoying this, give this episode a like, drop a comment in the comment section, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, and come see us for more. What's cool about, you talking about lighting, for everybody that's watching, in front of John, of course, is his computer and his camera and the light, but he's playing off this big window with the Manhattan skyline right in front of him, and the sun is setting. There you go, folks. There is the Manhattan sunset in New York City live right now as we speak. Really, really beautiful. Actually, that's a beautiful sunset. And then what's happening is, because the sun's going down, your room is getting bluer, and it's a beautiful color. Pretty soon it's going to be like you are underwater in a submarine during this broadcast.
Yeah, or in some
Aquarium or
neo-futuristic interrogation room.
oh, it does have, you've got the white t-shirt, you're all ready to go. Papi, I know, is something very, very special, and we have the trailer that we're going to show. And let's show the trailer and give everybody a sense of what it is. And I'll have you set it up too. And it's a short one, folks. So dig in deep. And then we'll tell people, what it's all about, what was it like putting it together, and how hopefully they'll be able to see it as well. Tell us about this quick clip that we're going to see, my friend.
Sure. So what you guys are about to see is the official trailer for Papi, which is Ashley L. Canfield and I's first baby, so to speak, our first film project. And the film is 23 minutes long in total. It makes its North American premiere May 11th, 8 p.m. at Lincoln Center.
How incredible that is, right? The full circle with the Lincoln Center thing. Gee,
Yes.
that's so incredible. Here it is, Papi. Here is the trailer. Enjoy, and then we'll be back with our special guest, JT.
Have you heard from the doctor?
Look, my family is not like yours.
I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, he's doing it for attention.
I haven't told mommy yet. Who? Hector? Hello, is this Hector?
Hector! It's me. Your son, Hector.
As we said, it was a teaser of a teaser, about 35 seconds, but just enough to get an idea that it's riveting. Tell us about this beautiful baby of yours, Papi, and what it's all about.
Yeah, of course. So Papi revolves around Hector Jr. So Hector Jr. is the protagonist, and his relationship with his estranged family, 1, 2, the COVID-19 crisis, and 3, dealing with his dad dying and dealing with the COVID-19 crisis. And there's just so many universal themes, even though I just touched on kind of 3 main subjects. We have estranged family touched on. We have religion that's touched on. We have older versus younger that's touched on. We have, I didn't mention estranged family, however, specifically estranged relationships with parents, the mom versus dad. We also have estranged relationships with siblings. So like good sibling or bad sibling, so to speak, or not necessarily good or bad, or how they relate to the protagonist, Hector Jr. And again, I don't want to say too much because I hope you guys get to see it. But the way that this film was constructed, Ashley L. Canfield, who is the writer and director of Papi, she originally sent out an anonymous survey to a bunch of people and collectively took a bunch of people's stories, wrote, melded them all together, and created this one universal story called Papi, which I was lucky enough to audition for originally. This was actually in a short play written by Ashley L. Canfield 3 years ago, and this was produced by the New Rican Poets Cafe online. So this happened 3 years ago, and 3 years later, it's taken on a new life, and it's been readapted for short film, this time with also me at the helms of everything as well.
That's so beautiful. So it was a project that was going along as the pandemic, and so many projects were, or at least the ideas
Right.
of them, sometimes the production, and then everything had to come to a halt, and people now picking back up and getting things out that were done 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago,
Right.
now releasing them, which is kind of exciting. How much of it are you connecting with personally? How much of the character
Right.
is you?
I will say the whole character is me, only because Ashley again is such a brilliant writer. But Ashley did take a bunch of people's stories and connected them into one, which is why it hits so hard to anyone who watches. But with me specifically, I kind of touched on this earlier, but my dad passed before I became an adult. My dad was gone by, I think I was 12 or 13 years old. So I didn't have a chance to have any closure with my dad on anything. And also, I was raised in a single parent household. So this film is very much everything that you see me say and do is very much authentic. And I'm very proud of this project out of everything I've ever done because it is my most authentic work, because of how much I'm connecting with the piece specifically. And it's Ashley didn't necessarily write this for me. However, it is all of the themes are so universal that it really resounds within my core. And also coincidentally, I do have just had a very similar situation.
In a way, it's sort of like paying, respect to your father, your lineage, and I would imagine your family, mom and the family must
Yes.
be very touched and proud of you with everything you've done, but especially with this particular project.
Yes, because of this project, like I said, it was so cathartic for me. I was able to forgive my family, forgive my father, forgive my family. And yeah, because, as we get older as well, we realize that stuff happens and sometimes it's out of our control. Sometimes it's out of our parents' control, and sometimes it's out of the universe's control, I guess, and life is equally tragic and beautiful. We just got to acknowledge it as such.
So the work, being in the arts, being in entertainment, is cathartic for you on many levels. You hear
Oh, yeah.
so many performers, singers, musicians, comedians. Sometimes they're extraordinarily brilliant at what they do, but underneath, if you lift the veil a little bit, they have so many different experiences, the richness of life from loss and tragedy and joy and triumph that they pull from, that enhances what they do and what they are as a being, because they've experienced everything hasn't been perfect. So many comedians come from lives where things weren't always great, and it's laughter that helped them get through, become successful, but help them get through some of the rougher, darker times in life.
Right. No, that's very much that. It's interesting. I just had my first magazine feature, and one of the questions is what is it that makes me stand apart from the rest or out? And it is very much what you just kind of touched on. I think I have the right amount of resilience, which is fortified by certain, happenings and experiences in my life. And certain people kind of succumb to those traumas, and other people use it to propel them. And that's someone I've always been, resilient. And I've always believed if there's a will, there's a way, and very understanding of all aspects of life now.
You have garnered lots of different awards as well. You also garnered nomination Best Actor in a Play from Broadway World's Regional Theater Awards as
Yeah.
well, and that was fantastic. You played Eduardo Flores in Scab, and also nominated as part of the Best Ensemble Acting in a Play by Broadway World's Regional Theater Awards for dual roles
Yeah.
as both corporate Howard and private William T. Santiago in Aaron Sorkin's A Few Good Men. And then you made your off-Broadway debut as lead Josh in the New York premiere of I Carry Your Heart. Kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, because of the BFA and my introduction to theater. I mean, theater's always been very fulfilling to me. And what's so beautiful about theater, and I know we talked a lot about TV and film already, but what's so great about theater is that things are always different in theater. So because you and I, as human beings, or everyone watching, you all have different feelings on a day-to-day basis, even if you're having a good day 2 days in a row, they're very different. Things happen that influence your reaction, so to speak. And same thing with theater. Us actors are very much live human beings. So when you go see us, you see different shows every day, which is beautiful. And it's always fleshing the story of the director or playwright in very different ways. And also, we're constantly learning as well.
Absolutely right. And you recently booked a role as Theodore in the upcoming feature film Moments of Youth. That's
Correct.
in post-production, as well as the role in the upcoming Marvel Studios project Ironheart. And you have a scene with Sarah Jessica Parker in, just like that, HBO season 1 finale.
Yes.
I started this whole thing off saying you're a busy beaver, and you are, my friend. Tell us what those cool things coming your way.
Yeah, well, I can briefly touch on Sarah Jessica Parker. She is great. She's so tiny, so petite, and so sweet. I actually kind of messed up on set. I missed my cue, and she totally ate my mistake. Like, she's like, "Oh no, it was my fault," and like kind of winks at me, and I was like, "Oh," I don't get starstruck, but I was very, very, very much like a little intimidated being right in front of her. And if you guys check out the scene, I play her. I play the grandson to. There's two of us in a light shop, and I play the grandson of the grandfather. Those were our roles.
That
And
is
she
so.
has a quick brief talking to both of us, complaining that I think she thinks big is in her light or something like that. So she comes up and comes straight to me, and she's like, "Hey, like I'm having some trouble with my light," and that's pretty much the quick scene.
I did mention the Face of Best Buy portrait campaign, and your billboard was in Times Square and on billboards
Yeah.
all over America. So, folks, look closely. I'm sure you've seen this face on billboards as you've been driving along and walking along right here on our show. And you also have a Voyage LA interview article that came out under the Hidden Gems segment, highlighting the career. That's this month as well, right?
Actually, it was just early released. It came out 2 days ago. Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's
you
great.
guys can check that out. And
Congratulations.
thank you so much. We go a little deeper into like what makes me tick and just certain things here and there.
Right.
But if you guys are interested, please check it out. Voyage LA under the Hidden Gem segment, John Anthony Torres.
I think there's a lot of wonderful things you've been expressing here on our show to our viewers who have been commenting and saying hello along the way as well. And as far as what makes you tick, resilience is definitely one of those things that is a strong suit within you, right? But also a heart and a soul, and you're curious. You're a curious person. You like to figure things out and know why this happens, and I'm very similar in that way. I like to know my first question in life that I always ask people, and including myself, which took time to be able to do, is why? Because when I know the why, then we can work on the what, when, where, who, and the nuts and bolts of it.
Right.
But the why allows you to feel it. And if you can feel it, you seem very much to be like a why person.
Definitely. Like you said, I gotta know what the nooks and crannies are. I gotta know what's making anything and everything tick. It's sometimes I feel like I have ADHD because I will walk down the street and then whether it's like a song pops in my head, I'll notice like a bird and I'll start thinking about like, where is that bird coming from? Does it have a family? And I've always wanted to know
I do
why.
that too.
It's like,
I
you know,
do
I'll
that.
stop like a conversation with someone and be like, do you see that star? You know?
I do that. I do that. It's funny. I have a friend he goes along with it, but he understands. We were playing tennis once, and we were at a park that there was a highway near it, a parkway near it, and so we're playing tennis. Beautiful summer day, and along the coast, and there was a highway, car going by, car going by, car going by, just cars, random cars with people in it, lives, stories, humans in it. And he's like, not again. You're not doing this again. I said, what? I said to him, wait, let's stop. Car, car, car. All those people are going by, and we have no idea who they are and what they're about. They're on the same planet as us. They're breathing the same air. They're right there. They're in that car that's right there. And yet we may never know them. They may never know who we are and how great we may be or what have you. I've done that on trains too, like the Metro North train into the city. We're sitting on a train, and there'll be all these random people, somebody right across from you, somebody next to you, and they're right there. And this is a person that's alive, that has a story, that likes this food and travels here and has this relative and all these things. And you'll never have any interaction with them. They get on the train and then they disappear. And I'll say to him, my buddy, we'll never see that person over there. We'll probably take a look at them now because you're probably never going to see them again. And I don't like that. And he's like, you can't, maybe it's working in these industries where we meet so many people and we're in the public eye, and you can entertain and inform and encourage and inspire people. You want to touch everybody. And this person is right there, and they're not even looking up from their newspaper. And you're like, just look up and wave, make a connect. And they don't. And then they go off the train and they're gone. I always found that strange. And it was before the pandemic, I was doing that a lot, where I was saying, we're never going to see any of these people again. So one of my colleagues said, well, think about it this way, if this makes you feel better. Because you're on camera, because you do what you do, where it is visual and visible, television, radio, whatever, there's probably more people who know you already than maybe you know of. So there is that sort of semi-connection, if that sort of makes you feel a little bit better in terms of wanting to inspire people. But did you ever have that where you are around a lot of people that are total strangers, and they're right there within arm's length, and the knowledge that you will never see them again, and that's the way life is supposed to be? But if you're somebody who likes to make connections with people and you're looking for their heart, their humanity, and who they are, sometimes it's hard to just do that and just cut and run.
Right. I will say that because, like you said, because we're always surrounded by so much stimulus, so to speak. When it comes to in a city as well, there's so much going on. I have a very, very kind of like there's like a middle ground with like where my attention goes with people specifically. However, if I'm like sitting around someone, and I'll also, growing up in Harlem, it's like I have to do a quick scan of my surroundings always. And there's always like certain one or two people that'll stand out for whatever reasons that they do. And I'll try to like run whatever their story is in my head, in any part of the city, and I do have those moments. But I will say there's a lot of the time where, because of the city, there's just so much going on that usually if I'm like out of my apartment, I'm like rushed and focused on getting somewhere before.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah.
You have to.
No, I do notice I do have those moments where I will, notice one or two people in my settings, in my area behaving, and I will definitely run. Wonder what they're about. Wonder where they're going, where they're coming from.
Well, one of my friends says, well, Jim, with how crazy everybody's acting lately and how just the way everything is in the last couple of years, you probably don't want to meet everybody. I said, maybe that's true. Maybe I'll rewrite that now. I'll just go straight home. I don't need to know everybody. There's a few I might not want to know, you know?
Right.
It's very exciting, all this work. What drives you? What inspires you? What are some of the blessings and joys in your life, JT, that allow you to continue to thrive and grow? Other things you've done a lot and continue to, that you see for the outlook for your future?
Right. Well, one of my drives is legacy. I grew up in a single parent household and I didn't have the easiest childhood growing up. So legacy is a huge thing. And also my mom worked so hard to put me into the private school system here in the city. So going into school with all of these other kids who had parents who had this legacy, had these names like Zoe Kravitz, the Kravitz family, the Mendels, the Fort gangs, etc. Like there was legacy, 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 and I was like, oh well, it's time I start making my family a legacy, you know. And so I started working on that very, very young, and trying to always just like make my mom proud, so to speak, because she was a very much like a tiger mom, you know, like do your best, you know, giving me the motherly and fatherly love at the same time. And even to this day, there's one of my driving forces is my mother. Um, when on my downtime, when I do have time, I do take care of her, and she has some ailments, and I just want to make sure she's able to see all of this, because that is the parent that I have, you know, on this planet. That is the parent. I don't have any grandparents on this planet, and so I want to make sure she's able to see everything that I can do, everything that's in my arsenal, you know, before things change.
What is her name?
Her name is Nancy Torres. I love you, mommy.
Nancy, we're sending you some Jim Master Show lovity from Jim and all the viewers watching around the world who have been commenting and saying hello and welcoming you, my friend. This really is, as you can see, we do conversations here at the Jim Master Show. We don't just do typical interviews. We really have a good free-flowing conversation. JT's had no pre-prepared questions. He didn't ask me to ask him anything. Oh, only ask me this and don't ask that. And I didn't pre-prepare questions because I think the vibe of free-flowing, real, authentic conversation I think there's a shortage of that. Everything is always packaged and timed. And I think that it's real and it's authentic. And you were a great tennis player back and forth, my friend. And your story is
some tennis when I was younger.
You did, right? The tennis, and it all goes back to the flute.
That's
Matter
right.
of fact, there's a fantastic, and I have all of his CDs. He's a phenomenal smooth jazz flautist, flute player. He's incredibly talented, and his name is Nestor Torres.
Oh, wow.
Look that up, Nestor
Yeah.
Torres, and he's all over smooth jazz radio, and he's got all kinds of incredible CDs out with all the smooth jazz and jazz artists, and he's an incredible flute player. He's phenomenally talented.
I gotta
Nestor
check him out.
Torres. You never know if, we're all related, if you dig deep enough, right?
Right. No, that's
We're
right.
all brothers and sisters, they say.
That's right.
JT is, of course, Instagram and TikTok. We've been showing this during the show as well. Come see him there. Congratulations on this. I know this labor of love. And
Thank you.
again, so Lincoln Center. And then what is the hope after that? You're hoping that it streams on a streaming service, or it's in a local theaters, or
Right. So
what's
with
next for it?
Papi it has just begun its festival run. So if anyone who's not familiar with the festival run is all over America and the world, different film festivals showcase up and coming works. And that's how a lot of the things, or some of the things that you see in theaters, that's how they make it. They get funding, they find funding in these film festivals, and smaller projects turn into different projects, get readapted for TV, for a limited series, etc. With Papi specifically, this was kind of like the introduction to who John Anthony Torres and Ashley L. Canfield are as filmmakers specifically. And this is just kind of like, again, introduction, because we have two more projects already in the works and pre-development. One is a short sci-fi narrative that has to do with AI, love, and human, and the how far a human is willing to go to have certain moments with someone, and AI and how it's coming for everyone's industry at the moment. And this project is called Closure. It was originally a short play, just like Papi, that was produced at New York Symphony Space by this Colombian up-and-coming playwright named Luis Roberto Herrera. So he gave us the green light to use his project. We readapted it because of Ashley, an amazing screenwriter, and we are ready to film starting next month. That is called Closure. It's our next in lineup. And again, this short film, Papi and Closure, we have some wiggle room to readapt it into other things because we're anticipating it hitting even harder than Papi is. With Papi specifically, again, it's just an introduction to who we are. Both of these together is our kind of calling card for our feature film, which starts filming next year. And that has a working title. Now, just quickly going back to Papi, as part of its festival run, our next stop after Lincoln Center is we go to the Magic Johnson Theater in Manhattan on May 30th and June 1st. So it'll be playing there as part of the People's Film Festival.
Wow, that's exciting, huh?
Yeah, we're pumped.
Wow, fantastic. You are Papi pumped.
Yeah. Pumped on Papi.
Pumped on Papi. I love that. That is fantastic. This was awesome. Getting a chance to welcome you to the Jim Masters Show family here, the Lovity family, my friend, and hopefully we will be, we're right here in the New York tri-state area, so hopefully we will be in the same room at the same time. I'm sure, it's a small world and we probably know a lot of the same people. Thanks for being so real and open and fun and interactive, and congratulations on everything.
Thank you so
during
much.
the conversation, people got a little bit deeper understanding of who you are. So now when they see you, whether it's your face, they hear your voice, they hear the music, they see the hands and the hand modeling, whatever it is, they got the full picture. Edward Scissorhands. That's right. You could have done that too.
I could have. Where are my sneakers? Where are my
What was
sneakers?
I going to say? You're the best. And I always say that we are going to keep the porch light on for our guests. So we're going to keep the porch light on. You are welcome to stop by here anytime. This is archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Master TV. So anybody that's not with us now live can see it later, so you can share it on social media. Tell your friends and everybody you know about our series. We're here every day. And come see us again, my friend. And I hope you enjoy the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure, Jim. Thank you so much. I'm truly humbled to be part of this and your growing family here. So thank you so much. You're super fun, and you guys love all the comments. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching.
All of the lovities watching around the world. Absolutely. We thank all of you for your comments as well. And don't forget to comment in the comments section. JT, thanks for stopping by. And so cool, the colors. Everybody's commenting. They love the way the colors look in your room right now.
Yeah, and this is funny. It's a little glimpse into my next project.
It's been a night of teasers.
That's right.
You be well, my friend, and come see us again and stay in touch, okay?
I will. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too as well. Take care, JT. John Anthony Torres, JT, joining us from Manhattan, New York City. A great conversation we had with him here on the show. We got a chance to learn more about him. And of course, the epic that's coming up, Papi, look for that. It's going to be something very, very special. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation, learning a little bit more about this brilliant artist who started as a kid and through thick and thin made his way through and has worked on some amazing projects in film and television and stage, on camera, behind the scenes, and so much more. And it all started with that flute and then Juilliard, and the rest is history. There's always a beginning when you look back. Thanks for all the great comments as well. We thank John Anthony Torres, JT, for joining us here on the Jim Masters Show Live series. If you joined us late, folks, don't worry. It'll be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, so you can see it again. If you did enjoy this episode, a little favor, some homework, some levity. Like this episode. Give it a thumbs up like. There's a thumbs up icon on the YouTube channel. Click thumbs up. Leave a comment. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where we have about 1,200 episodes of our series. And click the notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. You'll be alerted about all the episodes and the great celebrity friends and guests who stop by. And leave a comment for us in the comments section. That helps us grow further. And also don't forget to share this episode on your social media. So many wonderful comments here. Great comments coming in from lots of our new viewers. Thank you very much. Asa Khan, welcome. You're now a Lovity here on the show. Look at this. So proud of you. JT, I love you. Did you want to send some love back?
I love you, Ozza. I love you guys.
I was going to say, I can't, there's no way we can't acknowledge that, right?
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
And everybody here, it's just saying sounds amazing, and they're loving this, and just, they're all proud and happy. And thanks for joining us from Maureen in Arizona, and Jane watching.
Maureen. Thank
Jane
you.
in Sweden, and everybody watching,
Thank
and
you, Jane.
Kathleen in New York City, and
Thank you, Kathleen.
all over.
Thank
Merlin.
you, Janet. I saw you, Janet. Thank you so much.
Yes, Janet was here. Merlin in Canada. Some of our regular, faithful, lovety love. Exactly, that's what it is. That was a little extra bonus. This was his encore. This part we did rehearse. We rehearsed that he was going to come back and make an encore. Thank you, my friend. We'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you guys. Bye.
Thanks again. That was the encore. We just so many wonderful comments coming in. I wanted him to make sure that he saw that, because I know it's near and dear to his heart as it is to me. Thanks for all your wonderful love and support of our unique entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series. If this is your first time here, folks, well, boy, come see us again. We thank everybody for their love and their support. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and all the rest. As we always say, don't forget to love one another. Take care of one another. Don't forget to love and take care of yourself. It's important to do that. For all of us here, I am your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, this is your first time watching. Welcome to the Jim Masters Show series. Come see us again. We appreciate you being here. We love you all. Be well. Take care. Come see us again here in Lovity Hall and the Jim Masters Show. I'll be right here in the host chair waiting for you. Be well. And cheers.